Hi everyone, this is Suram and I welcome you all to my YouTube channel. In today's video we are going to discuss about the chapter Energy Flow and Practices for Conservation of Resources, that is of Standard 9th. In today's video we are going to discuss about the introduction about energy, then the different kinds of energies like potential energy, kinetic energies, law of conservation of energy, then the sun as the ultimate source of energy, then we have the renewable and non-renewable sources of energy, then we have the energy from the renewable sources and the non-renewable sources. So all these topics we are going to discuss about in today's video. So energy flow and practices for the conservation of resources. So let's start. Very first, what is energy? That is the introduction about the energy. Energy, as you all are knowing, it is the ability to do work. Energy is the ability to do work. So more the work is done by the body, more is the energy spent by the body, is it? So basically energy is divided into the two categories, that is potential energy and kinetic energy. So potential energy, as you are knowing already, it is the energy possessed by a body on account of its position or configuration. That is called the potential energy. For example, the water stored in a dam, that is because of its position, and a compressed spring, that is because of its configuration, change in configuration. In all these cases there are the potential energy. The body is possessing the potential energy. Then next we have the kinetic energy. The energy possessed by a body on account of its motion is called the kinetic energy. So all the moving objects are having the kinetic energy. For example, a speeding bus, a flying bird, etc. All are other examples. That all means to say all these are body which are in motion, that are having the kinetic energy. So this is a brief introduction about the kinetic energy. Then we have the different types of other energies. We have the other types of different energies like electrical energy, heat energy, potential energy, kinetic energy, atomic energy, chemical energy, magnetic energy, is it? So the different forms of energies. Chemical energy, sound energy, nuclear energy, is it? There are the different types of other energies are present. So heat energy and light energy, electrical energy, sound energy, they can also be called as the kinetic energy because of their motion, is it? Because of the motion they can be called as kinetic energy. However, the magnetic energy, chemical energy, nuclear energy, they can be regarded as potential energy. That is on account of the position or configuration of subatomic or atomic particles. So next we have the law of conservation of energy. So law of conservation of energy is what? The energy can neither be created nor be destroyed. It can only be converted from one form to another form. So you can see potential energy can be converted in the case of roller coaster. You might have seen, in case of roller coaster the potential energy changes to kinetic energy. Here the potential energy changes to kinetic energy of this car, is it? And again this kinetic energy changes to potential energy when it moves to the next height. So this process remains continuous, is it? So water stored in the dam also here has the potential energy. So when this water is allowed to move down, the potential energy of the water changes into kinetic energy, is it? Then when the wood is burnt, heat is produced, is it? So chemical energy changes to heat energy. Here is the bulb is glowing when we turn on the switch. So here again the electrical energy changes to light energy, is it? So according to the law of conservation of energy, it states that energy is neither created nor destroyed in a system, and the sum total of all the energy remains same. That is called the law of conservation of energy. So the best example of efficient energy conversion are living beings, where more than 80% of energy is converted into another kind of energy. For example, with about 3 or 4 kilogram of balanced diet in the form of chemical energy, we the human beings can keep ourselves warm for and do the various kinds of activities, is it? So maximum conversion is there in the living beings, almost 80%, because some other energy is lost, is it, during the conversion process. Then we have the sun as the ultimate source of energy. Sun is called the ultimate source of energy. Why it is so? Because directly and indirectly we are getting every kind of energy from the sun only, is it? So all the form of energy which are available on the earth, they origin from the sun only, is it? So the amount of solar energy received by the earth every day is 50,000 times more than the total amount of energy consumed by all the countries of the world in a year, is it? So we are getting almost every sort of energy from the sun only. That's why it is called the ultimate source of energy, sun. So solar energy provides us the wind energy, tidal energy, energy of the sea waves, is it? Solar energy is causing the large scale evaporation of water, is it? So when the water get condensed, it forms the clouds and causing the rains, is it? Then light energy is present in the form of solar energy, is stored in the plants during the photosynthesis, that it can be used as a chemical energy, is it? So chemical energy at the plants is eaten by the human beings as well as the animals, is it? So if plants do not fossil after death, they can be converted to biogas, is it? In biogas, the chemical energy stored in the plants changes to the heat energy on burning. Similarly, the remains of the dead animals can be changed to biogas, is it? So ultimately we can say almost all kinds of energy, directly or indirectly, we are getting from the sun, is it? So solar energy provides us the light energy which help us to see the various things. That is the most important, is it? Then we have the sources, renewable and the non-renewable sources. Renewable sources and non-renewable sources. So renewable sources, as it is clear from the word itself, the renewable sources are those sources which can be renewed, is it, by the natural processes. The sources of energy which do not exhaust or can be grown over a reasonable period of time, means which can be reused again after a reasonable period of time, that are called renewable sources, is it? Like biomass energy, sun energy, water energy. Then we have wind, geothermal energy. So this can be reused again and again, is it? These all are called the renewable sources. Then we have the non-renewable sources. These are the sources which cannot be renewed, is it? Which cannot be regenerated over a reasonable period of time, means which could take millions of years for the formation, is it? That are called the non-renewable sources of energy. Then main non-renewable sources are coal, petroleum. The nuclear energy is also one of the non-renewable source. Then coal, petroleum and natural gas. These are the main non-renewable sources, is it? So renewable sources are those which can be reused or which can be grown up over a reasonable period of time, but non-renewables are those which can be finished, is it? So if once it finished, it cannot be regenerated over a reasonable period of time, is it? So that all the sources are called non-renewable sources. Then we have energy from the renewable sources. So energy from the renewable sources like biomass energy. So biomass energy, it is the energy of firewood and waste material produced by living beings, and the dead materials of living beings are collectively called the biomass, is it? So here the biomass sources, you can see the forests and the crops residues, agriculture crops and residues, sewage, is it? Municipal solid waste, animal residue, is it? Industrial residues. These all are concluded as biomass sources. So more than half production of rural India depends on the firewood for the cooking. So firewood is burnt in the traditional chullas to liberate the heat energy. In the villages that we are using the chullas, is it? However, due to the incomplete combustion, only 8% of fuel is converted into the heat energy. So furthermore, large amount of smoke and harmful gases such as carbon dioxide and the sulfur dioxide are produced, which adversely affect the health of the women and the young children in the home. So has the technology come in the picture? So specially designed chullas which are almost complete combustion take place has been invented and popularized by the government funded schemes. The smoke and the harmful gases formed during the combustions are carried above the roof level, is it, by the means of iron or the cement pipes fitted on the chullas. So the kind of innovation not only help us better combustion of wood, but also improve the health of the women and the children, is it? So another technical innovation is converted into the firewood into the charcoal, is it? And the wood is burnt in limited supply of air. So when most of the moisture and the harmful volatile material is removed, leaving behind the charcoal. So charcoal is also a brittle solid which is mainly consists of the element carbon. So it burns easily without any flame and produces no smoke. So furthermore, it has a higher heat generation capacity. So India is the most largest livestock population in the world. So traditionally the dung of the animals and the dried and burnt in the chullas as firewood. So however, the heat produced by the dried dung is very little. So furthermore, it creates the same problem as the firewood, is it? So in addition to dung, which is converted into manure, is lost for the heating purposes, is it? So this adversely affects the fertility of the soil. Here the technological innovation is in the form of biogas plants, is it? Or that is called the Biogas Plant also, and it is producing the excellent manure also. So let us study about the biogas plant. So it is called the Biogas Plant also because basic raw material used in this case is the gobar, that is the dung of the animals. Of course we can mix with the dung biomass such as crop residues, dried grasses, and even the human excreta also. So let's study about the biogas, an indirect way of obtaining energy from the animal dung. So in this case, anaerobic fermentation is done. It is the process of producing biogas from the animal dung, which is fermented in the absence of air and in the presence of anaerobic bacteria, is it? So animal dung is just anaerobic fermentation is done, which is producing the biogas and which can be used for the various purposes, is it? So biogas is actually a mixture of methane, carbon dioxide, hydrogen and traces of the hydrogen sulfide along with the water vapor, is it? So the chief constituent of the biogas is a methane gas, which is about the 65% of by volume, is it? So animal dung or the crop waste contains a large number of complex organic compounds such as carbohydrates, fats and proteins. So it also contains the anaerobic bacteria. When the slurry of the animal dung and the water is allowed to ferment at the temperature of 35 degrees Celsius or above, and the absence of air, the anaerobic bacteria slowly breaks down and the complex compounds of the carbon to biogas. So the process of formation of biogas from animal dung slurry is a biochemical in nature. Is it? So this is how the biogas is produced. Is it? By the anaerobic digester or anaerobic fermentation is done. So it can be used for the various purposes and for cooking, is it? And for the various other activities, is it? Then next we have the biogas plant, how it works and what are its main parts. So it is a fixed dome type biogas plant. So it is having the different parts. Biogas plant is commonly called the gobar gas plant also. So it is having the digester tank. This is called the digester tank here. An underground brick made tank with concrete roof. It is having the concrete roof over it, or sometimes it is made of brick also. And slurry mixing tank. Here is the slurry mixing tank, slurry of the cattle dung with water. Is it? It is the mixing tank here. So slurry is mixed here, which is going to the digester tank. Is it? Here with an opening. Here is the ground label, and on the ground label it is mixed here, and it is going as here is the inlet chamber which is going to the digester tank here. Is it? And on the left hand side, this is called the slurry mixing tank. Is it? On the left hand side of this digester tank or digester mixture, there is a slurry mixing tank. Is it? So on the right hand side of this, there is a spent slurry tank. Is it? This is a spent slurry tank, a brick lined channel. A brick lined channel is attached with the lower end of the digester tank. Here it is the opening here again. Is it? Here the spent slurry means which is a used slurry. Is it? It is going to the it is overflowing to the slurry spent slurry tank here. Is it? This is called the outlet chamber. Is it? And the base of this tanker is in the lowest point of the dome, and the digester of the digester here. Is it? Here is the opening. And how it works, every day we are mixing here the animal dung and the water in the equal proportion, and this is poured into this slurry mixing tank, and this slurry flows to this digester. Is it? And in the digester, anaerobic fermentation take place here inside it, and with the release of biogas. So this biogas is taken by the pipes. Is it? To used for the various purposes. Is it? And as more and slurry flows into the digester every day, the level of the slurry rises up to, and it goes up. So as it goes up, it goes to the spent slurry tank. It overflows to the spent slurry tank after maybe about 30 to 60 days. And so it depends on the temperature within the digester. Is it? So during this time, the biogas collects in the dome under pressure. So when the pressure of the biogas exceeds certain limit, the biogas forces the spent slurry to overflow into this spent slurry tank. Is it? So the biogas is withdrawn from the dome throughout the outlet pipe. This is here. Is it? And once the biogas plants get operative, it is continuing. It is a continuous process. It remains continuous. Is it? So every day fresh slurry is added in the mixing tank, and spent slurry is removed from the overflow tank here, which can be used as a manure in the plants and the fields. Is it? So in addition to the animal dung, human excreta can also be mixed in the slurry. Is it? So even the farm waste such as leaves, waste, fodder left by the animals, and the water and the waste like the papers etc. can be added into the animal dung slurry. So all these materials are attacked by the anaerobic bacteria to form the biogas. Is it? So this is one of the traditional type biogas plant, you can see, which is used into the villages, and sometimes it is also used nowadays also in some of the villages. It is used, and it is the most efficient and you can say most widely used, or it can be free of cost, it is available, is it? And more the thing, it is not producing any kind of pollution also, is it? And one more benefit is there, that is the manure is produced which can be used into the fields, is it, which is better for the crops. So what are the benefits or what are the advantages of using the biogas as a fuel? It is an excellent fuel which can be used for the domestic cooking, is it? It is an excellent fuel. Then biogas does not produce any kind of smoke, and hence it helps in the cutting down the air pollution. It is not producing any kind of air pollution. Then biogas on burning leaves behind no ash, is it? No ash is left behind, is it? Without any product is formed here. And calorific value of biogas is very high, is it? Calorific value is very high, so it means it is producing the too much heat, is it? Biogas can be used for illumination purposes also, and even for driving the engines of the tubewells also. So these are some advantages of using the biogas as a fuel. Then why there is a need for harnessing the solar energy, is it? Why there is a need for harnessing the solar energy? Why we need to save the solar energy, is it? So as the industrialization is taking place at a very fast pace throughout the world, we need for energy is increasing tremendously, is it? So it is estimated that if the fossil fuels resources are consumed at the present rate, so all the fossil fuels will exhaust in the middle of the 21st century. So this will create an unprecedented energy crisis on the earth's surface, is it? So this will, in order to meet such an energy crisis, man has accelerated the search for alternative renewable sources of energy, is it? So among the various renewable sources of energy such as wind energy, water energy, etc., the sun is the most abundant and everlasting source of energy, is it? So as we have discussed already, the solar energy received from the earth's surface in a single day is equivalent to 50,000 times the energy consumed by all the countries in the world in a year, is it? So thus, in a way, we have abundant renewable sources of energy at our disposal, is it? So however, it is not easy to harness solar energy because there are some limitation for harnessing the solar energy, is it? We are harnessing the solar energy as we are using the solar panels, is it? So solar panels are converting the solar energy into electrical energy, is it? So which can be used for the various purposes. So what are the limitation in harnessing the solar energy, is it? What are the problems, or what are the limitation, what are the drawbacks we are facing, is it, in harnessing or in saving the solar energy? So very first is the solar energy reaches on the earth's surface in diffused form, is it? Diffused form, it has been estimated that the solar energy received in the upper atmosphere is 1.36 kilojoule per square meter per second, is it? On 1 square meter, 1.36 kilojoule energy is received in the upper atmosphere per second, is it? But only 0.64 kilojoule per square meter per second, but on the earth's surface only it is reaching 0.64 kilojoule per square meter in a second, is it? So the difference being reflected in the space due to the cloud cover and other impurities present in the air, is it? Because of this cloud cover and some other impurities present in the air is not allowing this solar energy to reach on the earth's surface, is it? So thus the intensity of the solar energy reaching on the earth's surface is too small for doing the useful work, is it? That is one of the first limitation. Then we have the second, solar energy is not available uniformly all the time and at all the places of the earth, is it? So it has been found that for more solar energy is available in the equatorial regions than in the polar regions, is it? So at the same place, availability of the solar energy changes from hour to hour, is it? For example, the intensity of the available solar energy during sunrise and the sunset is far less than in a noon, is it? So similarly, cloud cover over can be alter its availability, is it? Sometimes cloud cover is there, so solar energy will not be available. So furthermore, no solar energy is available during the night also, is it? So before we discuss the new method of harnessing the solar energy, let us discuss some traditional method which we are using in harnessing the solar energy. So what are the traditional uses or methods of harnessing the solar energy? So traditionally, solar energy is used normally in our houses. We are using the solar energy for drying our wet clothes, is it? Obtaining the salt from seawater, is it? For drying the grains, is it? And for preservation of fish, meats, vegetables, etc., is it? So these are the common uses which we are using the solar energy in our houses, is it? Or in our surrounding. Then there are the two types of ways, direct and the indirect harnessing of the solar energy, directly or indirectly. So we are harnessing the solar energy, and as we have explained about the traditional uses, is it? So harnessing of solar energy on a large scale and is a recent phenomena, you can say, is it? So which started in the third quarter of 20th century, is it? So solar energy can be harnessed directly or indirectly, is it? So direct and indirect harnessing was the solar energy. So there is direct use of solar energy in the form of solar cooker, is it? Solar water heater, is it? Etc. So it can be directly converted into electrical energy in the case of solar cells, is it? So that is the indirect harnessings of the solar energy. Then we have the indirect harnessings with solar energy also. In nature, plants convert solar energy into chemical energy, is it? The chemical energy of the plants is used as fueled by the animals, is it? As food by the animals, it is used as a fuel to produce the heat energy. So solar energy also changes into the wind energy, is it? The energy of the flowing water, is it? The energy of the tides and the sea waves. So this energy can be harnessed by the water, is it? Water mills or the windmills, either in the form of mechanical energy or electrical energy. So these are some indirect harnessing of the solar energy, is it? Then we have the methods of enhancing the collection of solar energy. What are the methods of enhancing the collection of solar energy? How we can enhance the collection of the solar energy, is it? So as we have discussed already, on the surface of Earth receives only 0.64 kilojoule of heat energy per second per square meter on the average. So furthermore, this energy is quite diffused, is it? So it is too small to do the useful work, is it? So there are some methods in which we can enhance the intensity per square meter per second received from the solar energy. So very first is the use of black painted surface. We can use the black painted surface. So black painted surface are the good absorber as well as the good radiators of the heat. So due to the black painted surface, the temperature of the object rises rapidly, is it? So we can use the black painted surfaces like in the solar cooker, is it? Solar cells, is it? Which can, even with a small amount of heat, the temperature can rise rapidly. Then second, we have the use of insulated box with the glass cover, is it? So the heat will not flow out of the system by conduction, convection or radiation if the object painted black is placed in a well insulated box provided with the glass cover, is it? So if we are providing the glass cover also, then the heat energy will not radiate out because of the longer wavelength, is it? Then we have the use of reflectors. Heat received per square meter is not sufficient, so we can use heat energy collected at a large area is then reflected to a small area in case of the solar heating devices like in the solar cooker. Plane mirror is used as a reflector, is it? To reflect all the radiation at one place, is it? So the temperature of the device is rises rapidly to do the useful work, is it? So this was all about the half part of this chapter, is it? So half part about the solar cells and some other types of energies we will discuss in the next video. Thank you.